Back with more Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is episode 14 of season 2. Very excited as always to see what's going to happen next. Last episode, the group destroyed the drill, so that's all donezo, and now everyone seems to be in the same location. They're called the main players. They're all in Ba Sing Se. So I'm really excited to see what this all means. What's going to happen next? Are we going to get further down the line and closer to finding Appa and sorting that whole mess out? Jet now found out that Zuko and Iroh are firebenders, so he's not best pleased with them, so I imagine that's going to be some trouble as well. So yeah, as ever, lots of dramatic things going down, and I'm very excited to see what's going to happen next. So let's get into the next one.
I can't believe we finally made it to Ba Sing Se in one piece.
Hey, don't jinx it. We could still be attacked by some giant exploding Fire Nation spoon. Or find out the city's been submerged in an ocean full of killer shrimp.
You been hitting the cactus juice again?
I'm just saying.
Bloody hell. That's a lot of houses we need to burn down. Oh, it's like getting off the Eurostar, arriving at Disneyland.
City. Great.
What's
Nearly.
the problem?
I'm coming for you, buddy.
Aww.
We need to talk to the king about the war. It's important.
You're in Ba Sing Se now. Everyone is safe here.
I don't like that she doesn't stop smiling. Something's wrong.
Why do they have all these poor people blocked off in one part of the city? This is why I never came here before. I always heard it was so different from the way the monks taught us to live.
It's all segregated, isn't it? Damn.
I just want our new place to look nice in case someone brings.
That's quite wholesome. Do they have IKEA in this world?
Look at them. Firebenders living right under everyone's nose.
I thought we were starting over here, changing our ways.
We are. When I get the evidence I need, I'll report them to the police and let them handle it. Okay?
But until then,
This is
I will do anything I need to get that evidence.
Town hall.
Is that woman deaf? She only seems to hear every other word I say.
She unnerves me.
Handled. Get used to it.
This tea is nothing more than hot leaf juice.
Uncle, that's what all tea is.
How could a member of my own family say something so horrible? We'll have to make some major changes.
Everything hurtful Zuko said in the past. I mean, this is all lovely, but just a shame that you've
What's inside that hall?
got people split into different sections.
Your new home.
Wow.
Your request for an audience with the Earth King is being processed and should be put through in about a month. Much more quickly than usual. To leave you alone would make me a bad host. Where shall we start?
Maybe she means well, but she's a lot. What? An owl cat?
That would be illegal.
It's still dodgy.
You'll have to leave now.
Creepy.
Your ruler is harassing my sparrow. I don't know. I'm not in political science.
You can't mention the war here. And whatever you do, stay away from the Dai Li.
Shenanigans.
You'll have to firebend, old man. I borrowed our neighbors. Such kind people.
The king is having a party at the palace tonight for his pet bear. You mean
Oh, that's handy.
bear? No, it just says bear.
Certainly you mean his pet skunk bear.
Or his armadillo bear. Gopher bear? Just bear.
How many hybrids are there?
Yeah, I'm mastering every element. How hard can manners be? Lord Momo of the Momo Dynasty. Your Momo-ness.
No.
How you do?
Oh, yeah, I knew that was coming.
Pull it off, but you two would be lucky to pass as busboys. Wow, you look beautiful. Don't talk to the commoners, Katara. First rule of society.
Oh.
We'll get in the party and then find a way to let you in through the side gate.
Praise him, Lord Momo.
We came here to make a fresh start. But you won't let this go, even though there's no real proof.
Well, maybe if you'd help me.
Jet, you've got to stop this.
Maybe you've forgotten.
It's gonna eat him alive one day.
Maybe you've forgotten about how the fire
Consumed by hate.
If you don't want to help me, I'll get the evidence on my own.
Well, you have been doing that, and you've been doing a terrible job. No offense.
I'm tired of waiting. These two men are firebenders.
Oh. So he's gone from I'll get the evidence myself to instantly just trying to out them. That's a good plan. That will work.
You'll have to defend yourself. Then everyone will know.
I mean, they can both do that without firebending, mate.
Show them what you can do.
Do you think you could help us? Our family's inside, and I'm sure they're very worried.
I am honored. Please come with me.
Well, what a kind man. Manners. Yeah, nailed it. Oh.
Good stuff.
Well, you're just gonna have to grin and bear it.
Since this near the bear.
Bear with me. I like puns.
Thanks for all your help.
Don't worry. As your escort, it would be dishonorable to abandon you ladies without finding
Oh
your
dear.
way first.
There's always someone on their case in Ba Sing Se. I mean, it's a bit awkward because he is right, but yeah. Uh-oh. Now it's personal. Well, it already was, but you know.
That? The Fire Nation is trying to silence me.
You must go.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. No, don't shout.
The Avatar! I didn't know the Avatar would be here.
You lucky thing. Ooh.
Arrest them! They're firebenders.
This poor boy is confused. We're just simple refugees.
This young man wrecked my tea shop.
Jet's gonna get arrested instead.
It's true, sir.
Oh, this is gaslighting.
Come with us, son.
Why would you act out against them? What? Well,
You don't understand. They're Fire Nation. Let me go.
oh dear. Oh. Oh.
Grand Secretariat of Ba Sing Se and head of the Dai League. I'd like to talk to you. Your friends will be waiting for us in the library. What's most important to His Royal Majesty is maintaining the cultural heritage of Ba Sing Se. All his duties relate to issuing decrees on such matters. It's my
Great.
job. It is the strict policy of Ba Sing Se that the war not be mentioned within the walls. Constant news of
Even if you could end it.
There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
What are you
Oh,
talking about?
they're hypnotizing him or something.
Come from?
Is that why people are acting all weird?
Silencing talk of conflict, Ba Sing Se remains a peaceful, orderly utopia. Here, we are free.
Oh.
You can't keep the truth from all these people.
If you mention the war to anyone, you will be expelled from the city. I understand you've been looking for your bison. It'd be quite a shame if you were not able to complete your quest.
Oh, fuck you. Push him into the fire.
What happened to Judy?
I'm Judy. I'll be your host as long as you're in our wonderful city.
Oh. I don't like it here. Okay, that was a really good episode. I liked properly getting a look into Ba Sing Se and what's going on there. It's awful. I mean, some design-wise, I think it looks really cool. And, you know, some of the buildings in, like, the high-class section, stuff like that. So I just like seeing new locations in this world. It just makes it feel, you know, bigger and more lived in, to kind of see different kind of cultures and stuff. And we certainly got a sense of that, and it's not a particularly healthy one, I would say, going on in Ba Sing Se. People being lied to, hypnotised, manipulated, all sorts of stuff like that. You know, it's in a twisted way. You can be like, well, you know, people are happy if we don't mention the war going on, and we kind of, you know, allow people to feel extra safe within these walls. But, you know, it's not right to kind of just completely, you know, erase that fact, I guess. Especially in situations like these when these guys have intel that could help stop the war. And if they had just let them, you know, do their thing and try to find Appa, speak to the king, whatever, they probably wouldn't have even gotten involved in all of this and found all this stuff out anyway, like this big conspiracy that's going on. So there's a bit of a hot mess there. So you can kind of see why they'd want to like just be happy, maintain some sort of order and stuff. But alongside that, there are going to be people who aren't happy there anyway, because you're segregating people when you have like peasants living together, shoved in with people who like do art and stuff like that and work on that kind of field, which I think is rude. There's a real kind of sense of like a ladder there of worth, which I know is just a thing that is in the real world as well, very sadly. But I like how Aang was kind of saying it wasn't like that when he lived with the monk and stuff. Everyone was just kind of equal. So to see him kind of appalled at how things are in Ba Sing Se was interesting. And normally, you know, they've been to places that are just a bit run down. You know, maybe the people there don't have much money, but that's like the entire village or something. Here, it's like this whole place, and it has poorer people and richer people, and they may all still have to deal with like the same kind of manipulation when it comes to the war and stuff like that. And they have this figurehead with the Earth King, who also doesn't seem to really understand what's going on. He's just a bit of a pawn and just a face, and a front for, look how happy we are here, yay, no war here, that's not a thing. And then he actually has kind of power behind him that are actually running the place, really, which again feels very true to real life. And the fact that this is all in like a Nickelodeon show that kids watched, the fact that they address this kind of thing and like you know, different class systems and corrupt-ish governments, I guess, gaslighting, if you want to talk about Jet in this episode as well. So I love that they don't shy away from that kind of thing, and they can instill this, you know, those kind of ideas in people watching this, and they can showcase that it sucks, it happens, but it sucks, which is very much how it is in the real world still as well. So I always do applaud the show for kind of delving into that, and you know, just getting people, I guess, kids who would have watched this, familiarised with those ideals as they head into, you know, adult life and stuff. So you're actually getting a glimpse of what the place is like and what they're doing to their people, the kind of mess around there. I imagine that's also going to take up maybe the next couple of episodes sorting out this mess, while also finding Appa alongside it. And, you know, given the fact that we'd heard before, it might take months for processes to go through and requests to be granted and stuff like that, and you're like, how could it possibly take so long? And now we know they just kind of disregard a lot of stuff as unimportant, or if it's related to the war, they're just going to put it off indefinitely, really. So we had, I think Judy was the name of like the guide, and she was all like smiley smiley. I'm assuming she'd been like hypnotised and stuff as well, and at the end again she'd probably been punished and like they'd rebooted her in a way, they turned her off and on again, so she's like, yay, everything's fine now. He was like a kind of overbearing presence there, and she wouldn't leave them alone, and she wouldn't, you know, let them make any progress in their investigations. And we kind of see it's just she's part of a much larger problem that would take a lot to kind of do anything about. And can anything necessarily be done about it? Because sometimes that's just the way it is. So how they're going to handle all this, how they're going to resolve this, or if they choose not to resolve what's going on in Ba Sing Se, I find that really interesting, exactly what they're going to do with that. Because it could have just been like, well, you know, Appa's here somewhere in the city, let's just track them down. And they could have had, I don't know, people that recognise them or something like that, could have caused problems. But they've done this really kind of layered, complex thing going on alongside it. You know, not really related to the Comet or the Fire Lord, etc. Because the Earth King may not be able to do anything about it, because they make sure that he's not concerned with that kind of thing. And it's such an interesting kind of parallel to stuff that goes on in the real world and is still relevant today, I think. Having different figureheads and stuff just be, you know, more faces for the press and for the public to view, even if they're actually just puppets for someone else behind the scenes calling all the shots. So I like the kind of politics that they have going on in this one, and a lot of the social commentary that was really cool, and in the guise of, you know, a show about a 12-year-old boy and his flying bison who's trying to master all the different elements of the earth. So everything with that was really cool. I liked that a lot. I also liked the brief moments with Toph that we got, where she was like, oh, this again, you know, I just ran away from this and now here I am again. And she's like, oh, don't worry, you'll be bored of this life in a couple of days. And talking about manners, things like that, getting Katara involved, being like, well, if anyone's going to learn manners, it's going to be Katara. She has hope. So I like that she recognised that in Katara, because those two started to get on a lot better. So that was nice. And, you know, Aang and Sokka are just still very immature, aren't they, really? So they just did their own thing, and they still managed to get in. You know, they kind of ironically used Toph's sick burn to actually get some disguises to sneak in, but you know, this small government, whoever's ruling Ba Sing Se, kind of got on top of them anyway. And unfortunate that they approached that guy to let them in, Katara and Toph. That was unfortunate luck, really, but maybe another person just wouldn't have let them in. And I just like how they got rid of one overbearing person who wouldn't leave them alone, and then they found another one there. So yeah, Ba Sing Se doesn't seem, you know, well, it's kind of flawed, and it's a bit toxic treatment of its people, I guess. And the twisted thing is, you know, I could get you wanting to just be naive and not wanting to openly speak about the war and stuff like that, you know, stuff left unsaid, ignorance is bliss. So you can kind of get that, but it's also just not presenting the facts, is it? If you were writing out the history books, you'd like to think that they aren't going to like make it all redacted and like, oh, this makes us look bad, cross that out, like as British people did when we wrote our history books, because we were awful. But when we were little, we were taught that we were all great at school, which wasn't really the case, because we just stole everyone's shit and put it in a museum. So, you know, is having a fake but peaceful, happy aura society history better than just facing the truth? That's a very interesting debate, and I like that they kind of pose that again in like a little 24-minute episode of this animated show that kids watched. It's just, oh, this show's so good and so layered. I love it. So yeah, I liked everything with the party and Team Avatar kind of infiltrating things, kind of being more and more aware of what's actually going on there, like the corruption behind it. Even though they're desperate for this mission, they're fighting a losing battle. Can they do something about it? That's obviously going to be the big thing for them moving forward. And yeah, just kind of being bribed, I guess, they were desperately trying to distract Team Avatar from, you know, the fact that their requests were probably never going to be granted by giving them nice houses and nice things and constant eyes watching them. So yeah, quite a problematic place, really, and I'm excited to see where that story's going to lead, what their next move is going to be, to kind of make some sort of difference. Or are they just going to be like, this is a battle we can't win, we're going to have to try and just take this information maybe to somewhere else, or just use it of our own free will. Maybe it's just up to us to stop this war. Other people who aren't going to want to get involved just simply won't, even if, you know, this could change the face of the war entirely, this information. They just don't want to hear about it because of what they've got going on. So it's a very interesting dilemma, and I like that. It's not just, oh, we have this bad guy we have to beat up. You know, it's not just the Fire Lord is this guy we need to stop and then everything is fine and dandy. They actually do have like political stuff going on alongside that, and, you know, the real enemy that they had to face in this episode, it wasn't really necessarily anyone physical. It was more kind of just this whole problem, like this wider issue that has probably built up over years and years, you know. And you can kind of understand them wanting to just make it that way, but it doesn't necessarily make it right. And I like how they've kind of done that. So that was a hot mess, and I just thought they were going to try and track down Appa, and then we'd be on our merry way trying to do other nice things, but nope. So yeah, crazy stuff with that, but I'm excited to see where that's going to go. And then alongside that, we had the story with Jet trying to get some evidence that they were firebenders. It's difficult because he is right and they should believe him, but also I don't want them to get found out, because I like them, and you know, we've as an audience have come to really understand and I think sympathise with them, with Zuko in particular. Obviously Iroh's always just been great, and even though they are firebenders, they're, you know, they're different. They don't mean any harm per se, but you know, you also I kind of feel bad for Jet because he was kind of just gaslighting him because he was absolutely right, but it's just his methods. He always goes about it the wrong way. He's way too impulsive because he was going to try and find evidence, and then he was like, you know what, 5 seconds later, I don't have any time for this now. I think because, you know, his friends were like, we don't want part of this, you know, I thought we'd changed, it's just, you need to let this go. I think him almost being called out for that behaviour, the fact that he hadn't really, even though they were now in Ba Sing Se where they wanted their fresh start, now that they were there, he still hadn't let that go. It was probably like, right, I'll show them, I'll prove them wrong. So he was like, I'm just going to get the answers straight away. And he jumped into that fight in the tea place, and didn't end well for him. And, you know, he's bringing up firebenders, bringing up the war, they take him away, and it looks like he's going to be hypnotised as well now. So what that means, I'm not sure. I imagine his friends will probably guess something's wrong. I don't know how it's going to tie into the wider thing. I'm guessing Jet is going to reunite with Katara, etc. at some point, because, you know, they haven't crossed paths again yet since his episode in season 1. So what does that mean that he's kind of involved in this? Is he going to be like a major player going forward? I don't know. I feel like maybe if Zuko and Iroh also realise what's going on in Ba Sing Se, and see what this real issue's going on, they see maybe what their gaslighting of Jet has done to him, they might feel guilty and try and help him out and get involved in that kind of sense, or will they just continue to be naive to the situation as well? I don't know, because again, they're trying to just keep their heads low because they want to start a new life in Ba Sing Se, they want to settle down there. So who can say what's going to happen there? But I liked that they're working in the tea shop. Like, that is just Iroh's personality and we love him for it. But Jet just kind of has that fatal flaw that he can't let things go. And again, I didn't approve of his actions in his episode in season 1 in the slightest. He was completely wrong to, you know, I mean, I get his hatred and stuff, but he was punishing so many people for what a couple of awful people from the same clan did, and he was going to kill a lot of innocent people. So I'm kind of thinking that, like, oh, well, he's never really quite done things in the right way, even if he has meant a nice, positive message as a motivation at times. And here again, you know, trying to get some firebenders locked away or whatever, you know, just because they're firebenders, he hasn't really learnt his lesson, I guess, from season 1. Because I don't think he knows that it's Zuko and Iroh, does he? Because a few episodes back he was like, I don't know who you are, but surely if you did know who they were and they knew that he was Zuko, you know that he was a firebender already. But then it was like, oh my god, they're firebenders in the last episode, there's a whole new revelation. So I don't think he actually knows exactly who they are, which would make sense, because he'd probably just turn them in for being them instead of just firebenders. So given all of that, it's just... it's messy, and for all he knows, you know, these two firebenders haven't actually done anything wrong. They're nice firebenders who happen to be from the Fire Nation, but he's punishing them just for being who they are. So in a way that ties into like the segregation that is going on in Ba Sing Se, on the different tiers, I guess. So yeah, I don't know if segregation is the right word in this context. If it's not, then I apologise, but you know, I think it is kind of the distribution of people in that way. You know, it's like a class segregation as opposed to a race thing, I think. But yeah, so maybe he hasn't really learnt from his mistakes in that sense, but also, you know, he had bad shit happen to him when he was very young. He was fucked up, I think, as a kid, and his mentality is just fucked up in that sense. I don't think he's really known sense ever. So he's just so consumed by what happened to him, and it's just trying to get out of the shadow of his past, much like Zuko is. So I feel for him in a way, and I definitely feel for him now that he's being like hypnotised or whatever. And because he was right in his assumption, but also, you know, he wanted them to be punished for something he doesn't even know if they did it or not. So whole complicated mess going on with that as well. So I am intrigued as to where that's headed, what's going to happen with Jet now, and his friends. I like that his friends really have like changed their ways, I think, and really want to commit to starting a new life. And how the Zuko and Iroh thing will continue to unfold. Are they going to get exposed as firebenders at some point? Probably. I doubt Ba Sing Se, they just live there happy ever after. Especially because there seems to be a lot of problems going on with that place. So I'm excited for that. What Aang and Co are going to get up to next as well. How they're going to deal with this whole problem. If they do, if they choose not to or not. And yeah, just getting to see the place a bit more and seeing how it's all laid out. So like stuff with like Toph and Katara trying to get manners and get into the party that way, and all of that stuff kind of going on. Some really good character moments like that. But I think it was the wider issues this episode was exploring that I found a bit more interesting than the characters themselves and the character stuff. Even though we did have some nice moments. Also like Momo pretending he had like a cape and was royalty and stuff. Iconic, love him. And the bear was fun. Absolute mood, just stuffing his face, having the time of his life. But yeah, I think, you know, more so than the stories and the characters in this one, like the commentary it had going on, I thought was particularly impressive. And again, like the world building that they managed to achieve in like a 24-minute episode is quite spectacular, and I'm excited for more of it to see what's going to happen. We've got 6 episodes left of this season, I believe. So anything can happen. I don't know if Ba Sing Se is just where we're going to be now for the rest of this season. It feels like there is a lot of them, like a lot of stuff for them to deal with, and they start to find Apple on top of everything else that they've kind of introduced in this episode. So it could easily take the rest of the season, but it could just be like the next few episodes and then something else happens. I don't know, but you know, they're probably building towards something at this point, and I feel like Ba Sing Se may be like the end game for season 2, or book 2, I should say. But yeah, really good stuff in this episode. Really enjoyed it, as I often do. And yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. But that's going to be everything for now. And until my next reaction, thanks for watching.